the slow down.
Welcome to the Slow Ride series, where we slow the flow down and take things a little bit easier. So this series is dedicated to people who are just beginning yoga, where we break down the names, biomechanics, and modifications the best that we can virtually to teach you pose by pose what to do. So just a few things before we begin today. I'd like you to keep in mind during any type of exercise. One, always ask, what is the goal in mind that you have? Our goal today is going to be focusing on seated positions in yoga and how you can tailor the exercise to the body. Two, can you execute the goal safely based on your own individual structure? Number three, can your muscles tolerate the force or the load that's being applied to your body? So let's learn how to respect our bodies, their limitations, strength, weaknesses, and enjoy the pursuit of our goal. Some things you'll need before we start our practice today. A blanket, any blanket will do. Second, yoga blocks, preferably 2. Quarantine has limited me to 1. So our first focus, our first yoga pose today is called Sukhasana, also known as easy pose or not so easy pose for some of us. The first thing that we're going to be looking for is if we can maintain extension through our spine. Sometimes if we can't maintain that extension through our spine, you'll notice your back starting to arch out like that. Some ways how we can modify this position to have ourselves upright is just take our first prop and slide it right underneath our sit bones so we come out of hip flexion a little bit. And maybe at the right height for you, you'll be able to bring yourself up a little bit more. So the next thing that we're going to be looking at, what about our hips? How do our hips and our legs feel, the lower body? You'll notice that my knees don't touch the floor. They're not even close. That's just my structure. I'm going to respect my body structure and I'm going to respect my muscle tolerance. So I'm able to maintain this position comfortably, but let's say I'm having some tightness today and it's just not feeling so good. What I can do is take my blocks and rest them right underneath my knees. That way I have a force to press into. Moving on to our second seated yoga pose, Baddha Konasana, also known as cobbler's pose. In this position, the feet are brought together and you can move them as far forward or as far towards your body, as close towards your body as you need. Again, looking for maintaining spinal extension, looking for our prop right underneath the sit bones, coming out of hip flexion again. And the soles of the feet are gonna come together. Again, because of my body structure, my knees are not able to go down all the way towards the floor without me staying in an available range. So I'm going to give myself blocks and I put one on each side. And I can place my hands behind my body, on my legs, anywhere that's gonna be comfortable. So if I don't have a yoga block, I can also use my hands. And again, instead of forcing my legs down, what I'm actually gonna be doing is taking my hands on the outside and creating a wall. I'm gonna be pushing up and together. And at the same time, I'm gonna be pressing my legs down towards the floor. And my hands are going to be stopping those legs. So moving on to our third and last seated yoga pose for today's series, Dandasana, also called staff pose. So this pose is really great if you're unable to cross your legs, if that's uncomfortable for you. Again, if you need the blanket to lift yourself up out of hip flexion, to maintain spinal extension a little bit better, you can keep that blanket there. And we're actually going to extend our legs. Another thing we want to be aware of is how are our legs feeling? How are the back of our hamstrings feeling? All the muscles in the back side of our legs. If you're feeling a little tightness today, you can take another blanket and slide it right underneath your knees, just to give you a little bit of support. My knees feel pretty good today, and I'm maintaining spinal extension without the blanket. So I'm actually gonna slide right off here. So now we're gonna use frictional force to find a contraction, as well as using gravity. First, let's start with the force of gravity. It's coming straight down on the top of my legs, and I'm gonna try to squeeze the top of my legs and imagine that I'm lifting my legs up towards the ceiling without really doing so. Now I can definitely feel that on the top side of my legs. I can even squeeze my legs together if I want here to get more of a contraction. And now bringing in the shoulder girdle here and a little bit of the core, I'm gonna press down and depress my shoulders, pushing my hands into the floor. And at the same time, I'm gonna push forward with my hands, so down and forward. Still contracting the top of my legs and seeing if I can start to feel my muscles in my belly shorten and tighten, starting from the top of my rib cage down to that pubic bone. So here we go, holding this position, pushing into the ground, pushing into the floor, almost as if you're imagining your whole body and your legs sliding back through your arms, but you're pushing down so hard into the mat that you're unable to slide and make that movement. And giving that nice long hold, just maintaining awareness about the positions you're putting your body into, and relaxing. So these are just a few seated yoga poses that we've gone over today that you may or may not see in some yoga classes. Hopefully we've been able to find modifications for you today to tailor the pose or the exercise to your individual body. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.